I used to be so influenced. I'm sure I'm not the only one, whether it was Pinterest or YouTube or just people that I knew. In my mind, everyone had a beautifully decorated house, and I needed to be the same as them. When I downsized my home, well, that was a big eye-opener on what I had. Today is going to be so much fun because I'm going to take you around my home and we're going to talk about all of the things that were decorative items that I decluttered. I got so excited about that list that I almost forgot to introduce myself. My name is Bren, and I enjoy sharing my thoughts on simplifying what doesn't matter in our lives so that we can focus on what does. Let's get started on that list. You might not think of kitchens and decor going in the same sentence, but it's those kinds of things that we think are useful, but then they end up not being useful at all. First things first, my canisters. I used to have a canister set going across the back of my counter with sugar, flour, all of the essentials, right? I've actually relocated them into my kitchen cabinet here. One thing I noticed big time is that I was always having to move those canisters around just so I could clean behind them, and I'm so happy that they are off my kitchen counter. Did you guys ever have one of those chalkboards in your kitchen? I used to have one that was a pig, and it was like pretty tall, and it had a little chalkboard on it, and I thought to myself, oh, this would be so cute if when my family comes home, I can write on here. These are the thoughts that went through my head when I bought it, that is. I can write on here, tonight we're having spaghetti, or tonight we're having beef stew, but do you know I never used it that way. I also had space above my cabinets, and so what do we do with that space? We put decorative items up there, right? At one point, I had a bunch of artificial vines, and not only that, but I also went to TJ Maxx one day in Home Goods, and I remember thinking I want my kitchen to have red and white. So I bought up all the red and white ceramic kind of things, whether it was a platter or a bowl or whatever. I came home and I stuck it all up on top of my cabinets. And I'm telling you, it was just nothing but a grimy dust collector. And last but not least, things that are in the kitchen that you actually could see yourself using. It's functional, like a cake stand, or, did you ever see those pie plates? It was a ceramic piece. You set your pie in it, and when you put the cover on, the cover looked like a pie. And it was just a decorative thing, but how often do we make pies? I had high hopes for myself, I'll be honest. I just never got into pie making, but yet I had this pie container for absolute years. If you have any items like that, you might want to just take a second look. Is it something that's really great? You love it. Every time you walk into your kitchen, you're like, oh, this is just fantastic. Or is it a burden to you like mine was? Now, when we moved into this house, one of the major concerns that I had was that our entryway led right into our family room. There was literally no coat closet. I guess back in the day, they were absolute minimalists in this house at least. I found a gigantic coat rack, and it had a shelf, and then below the shelf, it had some space. So I put it right here at the entry for years, and it worked out great. It served its purpose. But once our garage door finally got fixed, I thought to myself, I wonder if we can start coming in the garage door instead of through the front door. You could see how much space that would take, right? But look how cute it is now. It's just my little plant. And I don't have to have a whole lot of visual clutter there anymore. We relocated that coat rack downstairs behind closed doors. Our shoes are down there, our coats are down there. So it's exciting. I really absolutely love it. And I just want to give you this example of what a significant difference it can look like when you get rid of something big. Now, along with that coat rack, I used to have one of those little cute rolling carts from IKEA, and I've repurposed that in somewhere else in my house. Actually, my son's closet works out a whole lot better there. At one point, we did keep our hats and gloves and scarves in there, and visually it wasn't great, but more than that, it was too much for that little cart. Like, it couldn't accommodate everything that we had. An organization tool that you bought like that didn't work out, feel free to part ways with that. You don't need to keep it. Try to repurpose it in your home somewhere else, but if you can't, you can let it go for sure. This is my key jar. Thank you, Tom Cruise, in, oh God, what is his movie? The airplane movie. Oh gosh, I can never remember this movie. Top Gun. It's the most recent Top Gun movie that Tom Cruise did. He's sitting in this little living room in a hangar, and he gets a phone call or something, and he picks up his keys out of this kind of jar. I'll put it in my description below just in case you're in the market for something like this. Basically, what I'm telling you is I had to declutter a lot of decorative key solutions only to find this one, and it's absolutely perfect. So I used to have a bed skirt. I used to have multiple pillows. I used to have these blankets, these gigantic black blankets that went all the way across my bed, 2 of them. I think you'll find the experience of your bed or bed making so much easier if you don't have so much stuff on it. I think hangers are decorative. I don't like velour hangers. I never could get things on it nice. I didn't like the plastic hangers because they were constantly breaking. And I've had my IKEA wood hangers now for about a year. I've never had a problem. There is no breaking. I know some people say that they can have splinters or be kind of not smooth. Not my experience at all. I love them. So when I got my IKEA hangers, I decluttered the rest. There's no turning back for me now. I am hook, line, and sinker into those wood hangers. Wood hangers do take up a lot more space in your closet. So I would say if you had maybe 20 wood hangers, it would probably be the equivalent of 45 to 50 of the white plastic hangers. So if you do convert to the wood hangers, keep that in mind if you have limited closet space like me. But I actually did it on purpose. A, IKEA had a good price, but B, I wanted to make sure that I kept my wardrobe in check. And when you only have so many hangers, you can only hang so much up. So if you bring something home or you even encounter something at the store and you think, oh my gosh, I really love it, before you buy it, think to yourself, what can I get rid of instead? That's just a little side note. I just had this gigantic vase sitting on the floor. It was pretty tall. It wasn't in a color that really even coordinated with my room. And it just sat there collecting dust. I never used it for anything. It had no value. So I decluttered that. If you have something like that just lingering in your room that serves no purpose and has no value, you might want to part ways with it just like I did. Another decorative item that I got rid of in my bedroom a long time ago, but that I thought that I had to have, and that was a big area rug. Because we have a decent sized bedroom, even though this is a downsized house, it's one of the things I love about it. And I had this big area, and I thought that it needed something on it, that it needed to have the floor space covered with something because it just looked too bare. But really, in reality, it was always something that I had to take care of. The thing had to get vacuumed. My cats liked clawing it. You name it, the list goes on, and that's really in every area of my home, actually. I decluttered almost all of those big area rugs. Now, being that I live in a downsized home, this is the extent of my little office supplies right here. I want you to consider, do you have file cabinets where you just have a bunch of files with a bunch of old paperwork that you don't even need? If that's the case, consider at least consolidating that to one file cabinet, or maybe you can come up with a creative solution like I did with my Torcus bin, and you could check that video out. I'll put it down in my description. I actually use a laundry basket called the Torcus bin from IKEA to house all of my files. I dwindled down and decluttered all of that paperwork to such a manageable thing that if some kind of catastrophe or emergency happened, I could literally pick that thing up and haul it out the door with me. I wouldn't even have to be fluffing. I wouldn't have to filter through things to find what I need. It would already be there. Another thing that we keep in our offices, if you have an office that's bigger than mine, and I did up in Michigan, had an office space with an occasional chair. And that's just one of those decorative items that you don't need. Most of the time it's just sitting there. Oftentimes we throw things on it and it actually is of no use. It just, it's visual clutter. Nobody's ever visiting us in our office, but yet we have that kind of stuff. So if this is the case for you too, I would consider getting rid of that occasional chair. It's probably not something that you truly need, and it will open up the floor space, and it's just easier to not have to clean around something like that as well. Magnet boards and bulletin boards. I have a big, beautiful bulletin board. I use it constantly. It's our family's little hub when we have an invitation that comes in the mail, or there's some kind of coupon we don't want to forget about. We stick it up there. And if there's something that I want to not lose track of, I actually put it up there as well. If I didn't use mine responsibly, I could see how it could become a big clutter catcher, and also it could just have an accumulation of things that we forget about if we're not being mindful. We forget that it's there and we're missing dates of things. If that's not a system that you've discovered works for you, I would go ahead and let that go. Now, if your desk came with a matching, side table or hutch or whatever, that doesn't mean that you need to keep it. If you're not using that big piece of furniture, it's serving no purpose, you can let it go. We had all sorts of office furniture, and we just parted ways with the things that we weren't using and kept what we are. Now, we were forced to do that because we have a downsized home. You might have all sorts of space, but I would still highly consider, do you need it, or is it just something that's always been there? And lastly, if you were like me and you had one of those Cricut paper cutters, with all the cartridges, it had all sorts of supplies like the big mats that you had to have, or the markers, all sorts of accessories, right? You might not even remember what the proper name is for this machine, but it might be in your home. So if it is, you might want to be like me, where I was like, I'm not using this thing. It's precious space that it's taking up. And I would prefer to have things in my office area that I'm actually using. You can see behind me in my solarium, I do actually have one picture wall. It has several frames on there, but it's not crazy and it's not out of hand. I've seen these things go all the way across a room. I have seen picture walls go all the way up staircases. You have a picture wall and it's stressing you out. Feel free to part ways with at least some of it. Maybe have it be a little bit more simplistic, and definitely feel okay with having some bare walls. I used to think that I had to have something on every single wall, and that's just not the case. Another thing that we used to have in our big house was shelves, and I'm talking the kind that go on a wall. Really, if you think about it, you never put anything very heavy on that, right? You wouldn't really put books on that most of the time. So what do you put on those things, on the shelves? You put decorative items, right? And so the shelves are decorative, but also the stuff that's on the shelves is also decorative. And oftentimes they don't really mean anything to us. We went to Home Goods, we picked it up because we thought it was a good idea. If you go to a hotel, for instance, what do you see in the lobby? It's very staged. It doesn't mean anything. None of these items mean anything, but they kind of coordinate with the ambiance of what they're trying to get across, a mood or whatever. Now, I do like plants, but recently I had a big bug outbreak in my home. I went away on vacation for a couple of weeks and I came back and all of those teeny little black bugs were everywhere. So I was only able to salvage a handful of my plants and the rest of them had to go. Let me know in the comments if any of you remember this one. I think that you can see on my shelf back there, I can see it myself in this camera, but I have that big gray vase back there. Now I do love the vase, so that's why I kept it. But what I got rid of is what at one point I had in that vase. Do you guys remember those sticks? They would just kind of sit in there for decoration. And I don't even know what I was thinking. It was an absolutely trendy thing. So that's what this tip is. If you have anything like that, whether it was sticks like me, and again, let me know in the comments if you had any of those, if you fell for that one, or any other kind of things. I can think of a lot of different trends that have happened over the years. Those little wicker balls, they're just, I don't even know what they're for. They look like a yarn ball, but they're wicker. What were we thinking, right? I never had those, but I did have wicker pumpkins for the holidays. Those are gone too, because those were impossible to clean, but that's another video. I just want you to know if you have any of those kind of things, trendy kind of things, they can go as well. Now you might be thinking to yourself, where is she putting any decorative items in this bathroom? Well, I do have one that I would consider decorative, but we actually do love it and use it. If you have something like this and it's just become a dust collector or accumulates stuff that you don't need, then by all means part ways with it. But I have this little shelf here. It's highly useful since this is our main bathroom and it's super tiny. But back in Michigan, I had all sorts of bathrooms and I had all sorts of decorative items in those bathrooms. So I would caution you that if you have any decorative items like that in your bathroom, whether it is dried flowers or wreaths or shelves, any of that kind of stuff, I would let those go. Those little bath pillows that you think that you're going to use, or a tray that can fit across your bathtub that you never ever use. Well, at least I never did. All of those things were decluttered. Especially when I moved into this house, you can see I have no room in a bathroom for something like that. Those are the kind of things that we hang on to, right? We put them in the drawers in our vanity, or maybe in the big under cabinet part in our vanity, and they're sort of shoved back there and we forget about them. I got rid of all of those kind of things and I've never looked back. The view of my bathroom right now, I don't think you can see everything, but I don't have a vanity. And if you want to see what my bathroom really looks like, check out my minimalist home tour video or my deep cleaning video that I did. I'll link those below in the description for you. The creative solution I had to come up with when we moved into this house is I have a shelf with bins. So each of our family members actually have their own bin with their own supplies in it. And last but not least, a decorative item that we have in our bathrooms are those self-standing mirrors. They have a light, or maybe they are magnified. Oftentimes we just have them sitting on our counters and we never use them. If that's you, you might want to be just like me and part ways with it. Are you a good girl? Are you a good girl? Yeah, that's a good girl. Yes, that's a good girl. Yeah. Say hi. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you got some ideas of decorative items that you can declutter. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I put a new video out every Thursday and sometimes bonus ones on Mondays. And don't forget to set that notifications because that will remind you, hey, Bren's video is out and you can watch it when you get a chance. And if you think about giving me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate that too.